What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the OBR Draft Show here on the OBR Network. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up over on YouTube, and hit that little bell so you know every time we go live. I'm your host, Jacob. I'm joined from A to Z Sports by Mr. Ryan Roberts. How you doing, man?
I'm good, Jacob. I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, this is going to be airing on Friday night, so it means the weekend, right? Like, so we're kind of juiced up for that. But we're here. We're doing the show. This is pre-recorded, just as always, because I work second shift. I work from 4:30 to 1 a.m. So I have that awesome thing to look forward to every night. But it's the summer scouting episode that everybody has been waiting for, right? It's the top 10 quarterbacks. It's ironically coming right after Shedur's debut week, and then his injury, and because we're in this crazy world. So we're gonna go back from 10 to 1. We had not seen each other's lists. I know I have a couple of spicy takes in there, so we'll just kind of see what people say. But Ryan, man, I'll send it to you. Give me number 10.
Yeah, number 10 for me is Brendan Sorsby, who's a quarterback out of Cincinnati. I don't necessarily know if he'll enter the 2026 NFL draft because he is just a redshirt junior, so he does have multiple years of eligibility left. But kid is 6'3", 220-plus pounds, throws a very catchable football. He had struggles down the stretch of the 2024 season, but when you really kind of dissect it, the wide receiver room was not great for Cincinnati, so they went and they exhausted a lot of money into the transfer portal this offseason to be able to get some more weapons around him. He's got a good tight end in Joe Royer, who's a legit NFL prospect as well. And I think that he's a guy that's going to take a massive jump. If you talk to folks around Cincinnati, just that program in general, they're pretty high on Brendan Sorsby and the player they think he can be. So he's got the size, requisite arm talents, requisite athleticism. This is a kid that I think can be a riser. It's just going to depend how big of a jump he takes, if he's going to be in 2026 or 2027.
Yeah, I've got him just outside the top 10, but it's definitely one of those things where I'm like, I need to watch this guy very closely this year and kind of see where he goes. So my number 10, I know everybody's going to react when I do this. I can't quit Carson Beck, man. I tried. I've tried a million times to quit Carson Beck, but I can't get 2023 Carson Beck out of my head. Like, that dude was awesome. Like, last year, not so much. But like that dude in 2023, like when he was my number one quarterback going into the 2024 regular season. I think a lot of people had him at least up in a lot of people had him up there. But you see his completion percentage go from 72 to 64, and you're like, that's not awesome. And he was absolutely horrible under pressure. Like, as soon as you put pressure on Carson Beck last year, he just folded like a lawn chair.
Yes. Well, he's number 11 for me, so we're on this similar wavelength with Carson Beck. He has the size, he has the requisite arm strength. He progresses pretty well most of the time. The problem is, and you mentioned it already, is that he is a pure in-structure quarterback that when chaos happens, he falls off the face of a cliff. And unfortunately, that is a big part of playing the quarterback position, being able to deal not only with that pressure on the field, but pressure off the field, right? Like, there's going to be a lot of pressures from a lot of different vantage points. And I am worried, obviously, a little about, I know he's back healthy now, but like that elbow injury is still a little bit funky for a quarterback, right? So like, let's see if he's back fully healthy. I've read that he's full go for Miami going into the season, so it sounds like he's recovered well. But I mean, he'd certainly be a little bit higher on this list potentially, I think, because I don't know if you see it the same way as I do, Jacob, but I've kind of coined this class. Last year, we were trying to convince ourselves on floors. It's like, oh, man, that Will Howard, like, he's not super talented, but, like, that floor, man, that floor is fun, right? You can depend on it to at least be a backup. This class is much more tools and betting on ceilings, and the floors are scary, though, right? Like, I mean, I just mentioned Brendan Sorsby. It's like Brendan Sorsby could be 2027 guy, or he could suck, right? Like, there's a lot of worlds that Brendan Sorsby could live in. Same thing with Carson Beck. Like, Carson Beck could be a top 6 quarterback in this class. He could be outside the top 10. He could be a guy that barely is even to hold on to a spot in the NFL just because he's his own worst enemy too often. So it is a very volatile class that you're kind of betting on ceilings a little bit.
Yeah, and we're about to get into that on my side of the list. As we get past, like, especially like I think the next like 3 guys for me are really there. But yeah, my favorite thing is you said it exactly kind of how I wrote this, my top 10 quarterbacks up earlier on the website on the OBR.com for VIPs. and I've got it pulled up because I like the way, just remind myself exactly the way I phrase some of these things. But you said it pretty. I'm like, when he's kept clean, he gets through his reads and diagnosing a defense well. Like if he's clean, like Carson Beck's a court, he does what you want to do. But like you said, the absolute second that it falls around him, and it's like, I know he lost. Like I would also like to put out there that those Georgia wide receivers couldn't catch the football last year. So I just
they led the FBS and drop passes last year. It's a great point. Yep, absolutely. Number so 9.
Like it wasn't enough to say that it was the only one.
Yes. Oh no.
Yep,
it's one of those things where like he is not like there's context to why he wasn't as good, but it's also he is a part of that context as well as far as like he did not play well either, right? So like all those things matter. Number 9 for me, you talk about volatility, right? Volatility. I do not like this player very much, but this back end of the top 10, to be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of this class right now. Today, I have Taylon Green from Arkansas, who's a big, athletic kid who 2 to 3 times a game does a throw that just kind of keeps you wanting to hope, right? Like there was one, I think it was against Ole Miss. I can't remember. I posted it the other day, though. It was a long throw to Isaac Tesla where he was able to avoid pressure and step up in the pocket and roll to his left, keep his eyes downfield. There's a beautiful ball across his body, and it's about 40 yards in the air. And I'm just like, okay, that stuff is cool. But then the next steps, it's like, oh, man, that sucks. Like, that's horrible, right? So he is basically, and probably not as physically gifted quite, but like he's Joe Milton-ish with like how he plays the game, right? Like there's a few throws a game that are like, yup, and then there's a lot of throws a game that you're like, nope. So that's what Taylon Green is. But he's over 6'5". He's 225 pounds. He's probably going to run in the 4.6s. He's a really athletic kid. He can be a part of the quarterback run game if you want him to be that part. So like there's upside of development there, but he is not a guy that I would like be banging on the table being like, that's a future franchise quarterback. This is a Betsy Tool gamble in the summer right now.
Yeah. I think the Joe Milton thing is really accurate. Like that's a great way to put it. So my number 9, he's just outside my top 10 as well, but he's definitely one of those guys. I think I had him 12. So I had him right there where I'm like, but the same thing as you though. It's like, hey, these tools like got to clean up some stuff, but like the tools, like he gets it. I got a guy that maybe it's not the toolsiest, and I think this might be one of the guys that it's a little bit hot button for me to have him here, but it's Eli Holstein from Pitt. I have it 9. And it's all about upwards projection for me because like I threw for, as a redshirt freshman for Pitt after transferring from Alabama, he only had 2,200 yards, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 328 yards on the ground. It wasn't like he lit the world on fire, but when I watched him, I liked him more than I expected to like him. And I was kind of like, hey, I think there's stuff there. Like a lot of my issues with him, it's like he's played like 12 games, 10 games that he started last year. So you're like, okay, like there's not a lot of like, he doesn't seem to be comfortable all the time in the pocket. Like I think the game's moving real fast for him. Like just because he doesn't have that experience, but like he's got the build 6'4", 225. I think he's got a good arm. I'm not going to call it like great or exceptional, but I think he's got a good arm. I think he can throw it. I think he can drive it down the field on the deep ball, but his deep ball accuracy is kind of poop right now. So that's like part of it. But like he can access that level of the field if he can clean that up. Yeah. I think he's accurate in the short and intermediate areas though. Like I think like those little things, like he can run your offense. Like right now he's kind of a game manager, and that might be all he ever becomes. But like I can see a guy that like is a really at least a quality backup in the NFL, so to speak. And it's just like he just runs an offense, distributes it really well. He's 20 years old. He'll turn 21 in October. But I think he has enough tools with more experience to where he can be a quality guy.
Well, this is and again, you mentioned already, but we did not share lists before this show began. But this is a perfect segue because I have Eli Holstein at number 8. So it's a perfect jump points into Eli because you covered a lot of it, right? He's a former top 100 recruit that went to Alabama first, only lasted a year there, came to Pittsburgh last year, started in his first year there. But he is a kid that, again, we're talking about a few guys here that Will he be in the 2026 draft? Will he be in 2027? Like, we have no idea, right? Because he's only going to be a redshirt sophomore this year. He's a part of that weird recruiting class that was like him, Dante Moore, Jackson Arnold, Nico, like a very strange recruiting class that he was a part of that a lot of people hyped up coming out, but it hasn't really materialized. But I think that the biggest thing that for me about Eli is that when Eli was healthy last year, Pitt was undefeated and pretty dang good. And the minute that he got hurt, the team just went nosedive. And I think that's a good indicator of the kid was playing well in a lot of instances, right? And he had some big games. I think he threw like 3 touchdowns in like 5 straight games or something like that to begin the year. So like he showcased a lot of talent, 6'4", 225. He has a good vertical arm. He needs to be I think he needs to throw with a little bit better touch down the field. I think he tries to drive a little bit too much at times, which kind of hurts the trajectory of some of his balls. But he kind of hits a lot of the thresholds you want. I think there's upside there. So I agree with you. At number 8 for me, I think there's a lot to like about Eli Holstein. It's just about another year of maturation, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. It was just one of those things as I'm watching, I'm like, there's something there. It's not all the way. It's not been brought all the way out, so to speak. Like I was talking to my friend Bill Sparks that we do a lot. He joins me a lot on these shows, and he said the same thing. He's like, yeah, there's something there. Like he's got something to work with. And then my number 8, in the same vein for me, is Aiden Childs from Michigan State. Another guy who, when you look at his stats, I don't like 2,400 yards, 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. There's a lot of times, and I said this in my write-up, a lot of times when I scout quarterbacks in the summer, and especially if they're guys that I really didn't pay a ton of attention to last year, which Aiden Childs I didn't, even though I'm an Ohio State fan and I followed the Big Ten. I didn't watch a lot of Michigan State last year. A lot of times I will go watch their tape before I ever even look at their stats. I'll have no idea what the stats are, the raw numbers and what it looks like. I just want to, in a bubble, look at the talent. And I liked Aiden Childs' tape way more than his metrics and numbers would say. Like, I was like, hey, I like this a lot more. Part of it is because I'm a Browns fan. I cover the Browns, and he's like a Kevin Stefanski quarterback, like under center, play action. Like, He does that really good. And I'm like, okay, all right. I think he has I like his arm. I think he's got a good arm. His deep ball's better than I expected it to be, like accuracy wise. I'm like, okay, I like that. I'm going to say he's 6'3", 220. I'm going to say this with a grain of salt because I know what it sounds like, and it doesn't mean what I compared his running style to Josh Allen in a sense that he's a good athlete, but he'll also run with power. I'm not calling him Josh Allen. I'm just saying sometimes when you watch him run, it's about him protecting the ball and inching himself forward, and I think he has some power to it. I think he does a decent job with arm angles. I think he's got some arm angle stuff that he can do to fit him in some tight windows and things like that. But his pocket awareness, man, it's not great. It's not there yet. Again, he's another guy. Will he be in this class or will he be in the next class? We don't know. But Aiden Childs, I think he's got the tools. I think he could be a great Kevin Stefanski quarterback. So that's part of the reason he moves up high on my list. But I'm very interested to see what he does this year.
So you're gonna hate this, but I didn't grade Aiden Childs because of one of the things you talked about already is him as a redshirt sophomore now going in here because obviously he started his career at Oregon State, redshirted out there, now comes to Michigan State. I just don't know if it's gonna be a 2026 and 2027. And I had to just make a couple decisions on like prioritization of guys just because there is limited time obviously in summer scouting. So I loved Aiden Childs in high school though. Like I covered Notre Dame a lot for like A to Z and he was a guy that Notre Dame liked a lot after the Dante Moore fiasco happened. So, been keeping up with him. I know he flashed in minimal opportunities at Oregon State 2 years ago, and then obviously he did some good things at Michigan State. He's just in everyone knew this was going to happen. Like, Jonathan Smith taking over that Spartans program, like, it's a rebuild, man. Like, it wasn't going to be a year one just flip. I mean, his offensive line's not great. He's got the young kid, Nick Marsh, at wide receiver, who's a good player, and he's got the Velling kid, who's a solid player at tight end. But other than that, it's like, You're making chicken salad out of you-know-what a lot in that offense right now. And hopefully he takes a nice jump and we'll be able to kind of have a deeper conversation about him if he does take that type of leap. I had at number 8 for me, right? Yep, because I just had, let me make sure.
You did Eli Holstein at 8, right?
Oh, so I had Taylor Green at 9. Yep, Taylor Green at 9, Eli Holstein at 8. number 7. Sorry, wait. So I'm at number 7 now. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I just have a grid. I didn't actually number my list. Number 7 for me, I have Josh Hoover from TCU, who is a kid that I think I am much higher on than most people. I would think. I've talked to a couple people that do also like him a lot. Another young man, redshirt junior. No idea if he's going to be 2026 or 2027. No idea. He's a little bit of a smaller guy, which I don't typically go for. Like, I'm usually a little bit of a purist in like size and like threshold stuff. But I really just love the arm talent here, man. Like, he can whip it from different arm angles and velocities. I think that he can throw a touch to the intermediate to deep levels of the field. There is a lot to like there. Needs to become a little bit firmer in the pocket. He can drift a little bit as a pocket quarterback, which is something that kind of drives me crazy. But the kid moves well in and outside of the pocket. He's not a runner. He's an extender as a thrower, which I do love. So I think there's a lot to like about Josh Hoover. And even though he's losing a couple really talented wide receivers, I think there's a possibility that he does take a substantial jump this year. And we'll see if that he is ultimately a part of this 2026 conversation.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I'll be honest. I didn't get around. Like you said, it's very interesting because you do. You've got a limited amount of time in summer, and you're like, I can't watch all these guys, and it's like, but yeah, no, he's on my list to watch. I just never got around to him. So
I wish I didn't like I. So when I saw some of the spring grades from the NFL, there's a couple like later round seniors that got grades where I'm like, okay, I got to get eyes on. Like, who was it? Like Maverick McIver from Abilene Christian that transferred to Western Kentucky, and Jaden Craig's a Harvard kid that had a draftable grade from one spot, and you got the Mark Gronowski going over to Iowa from South Dakota State. So like, there's these borderline draftable seniors that I prioritized early, and I kind of wish that I wouldn't have prioritized based upon my grades on a couple of them. But so yeah, here we are.
All right, I got number 7. I think I'm a little. I don't know. I'll be interested to see where he is for you, because some people have him much higher than me. I got Sam Leavitt from Arizona State at 7. Okay. That's ultimately where I ended up with him. I know some people have him a little higher. I know Todd McShay really likes him. I see why people really like him. I mean, I got him 7, and it quite frankly, it's not a knock on him. It's just the other 6 I just like more. Like, it's not even that I like him less so much because he's got the arm. Like, he's got it.
Yep. Yes.
He can.
No, he can. He's I'm going to get to him a little bit more in a minute here, but yes, he's kind of all gas, no brakes at times, which drives you crazy at times because it's like I just want him to be a little bit more patient, right? Like inside of the pocket, not evade the pocket too often, but like the kid's got juice and he has wheels, right? So you're like, okay, like there's a lot to work with there. So yes, I'm with you on Sam Leavitt. I actually have him slightly higher than you do on my list. So there we are.
So I don't remember what friend of mine I was talking to that said this. It may have either been Dalton Miller or Corey Kennan from Daft on Draft. I think that may have been from the Daft on Draft podcast. I think one of them said in the Discord, I think that when Sam Leavitt was learning how to play quarterback, someone just put on old Brett Favre tape, and they're like, just play like this. Because, like you said, it's all gas, no brakes, and I got another guy like that a little bit higher on my list. But, like, I think the arm strength's elite. Like, I truly do. I truly think there is no part of the field that he can't access in terms of arm strength. Like, he can drive the ball where he needs to dive it. Like you said, plus, I think he's got plus-level mobility. Mm-hmm. A lot of it, Cam Scatterbo had such a great year, it kind of overshadowed Leavitt. For me too, because when I went back, I remember getting into the college football playoff and thinking, oh, it's just because of Cam Scatterbo. And then I go back and watch Sam Leavitt. I'm like, no, Sam Leavitt, he's pretty good. Like, he's got the tools. Like, I was looking at my notes. There's some gunslinger in him. Yep. There's definitely some gunslinger in there. It's just one of those things where I think he needs to kind of, sometimes he is a little slow getting through his progressions and some of his footwork's a little inconsistent and things like that. But I'm a full believer that they're putting more on his plate this year with Cam Scatterbo gone. Like, I think they're going to lean even. Yeah, because what are you going to do? Because Scatterbo was like the heart and soul. So he's going to get the opportunity to be the main driving force of this offense, and I certainly think he has the tools to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's a very interesting situation in Arizona State because their lead ball carrier is going to be Kanye Udo, who is a transfer from Army, and he was the dive back for Army. So it's like I watched him this summer, and I'm like, I don't know how this translates to being a running back in an actual system. Like, I have no idea. I know that he's pretty physical and he's downhill and he's a tough runner, but like, how does that translate to out of an eye or in the gun? Like, I have no idea like what he's going to look like. I don't even know if he can. I mean, like all I'm watching is just like dive handoffs, right? Like he's a fullback in their system. Like that's what he's been for Army. So like, what does it look like at Arizona State? I have no idea. All I know is that Sam Levitt has this young man named Jordan Tyson who's pretty dang good at wide receiver, right? So, like, yeah, you have to think that there's going to be a lot more on his plates in 2025 for sure. And obviously, he's entering a very important season. And I mean, there are a lot of schools. I'm not breaking news here because it's been out in the open, but like, there are a lot of schools that tried to get Sam Levitt to portal this offseason because because he's a very likable quarterback from a talent perspective. Number 6 for me, which you're gonna hate, and I just want you to get ready for it. I have Drew Allar from Penn State at number 6. I felt like you liked him. Do you?
I have him at 4.
You have 4. Okay, so we're not too far apart there.
Yeah.
Look, man. You could sell me on the 6'4 plus. He's nearly 6'5". He's 230 plus pounds. I've heard he's cut a little bit of weight, so maybe he's more in the high 220s this year to be a little bit more mobile. It's possible. He has a very strong arm. I mean, generates velocity easily. You can compromise his platform. He can still generate velocity. Like, he's got a huge arm for NFL standards. Huge arm. And some things from 2024 to 2023 to 2024, were better. Like, completion percentage went up, and yards per attempt went up, and he looked like he did take a decent step. But it just wasn't enough of a step, especially in the bigger games, to make me buy in fully. Like, I just can't. I have the Notre Dame games too much in my mind. I have Ohio State. I have Michigan 2 years ago. Like, these games are just ingrained in my mind where he looked horrible. Like, it wasn't like he looked just, like, not good. It was like he looked bad. Like, he looked really, really bad. Like a bad football player against Notre Dame this past year. And I know some people are going to say that's one game. No, that's several games in a sample size where if you're an NFL scout, you're going back to watch him against the best competition that he plays against. Now, they feel like they've upgraded the wide receiver room this offseason. They have a great offensive line coming back. You have 2 NFL running backs behind you. So he has now, in theory, all of the supports around him. He's also in year 2 of a system under Andy Coltonecki as his offense coordinator. So there's a possibility that he takes a sizable jump and he's a legit first rounder and maybe a top 15 pick when all is said and done. Like, those things are possible. But the accuracy is just so hit or miss. The footwork is just so inconsistent. Like, he's just the floor scares the mess out of me. Like, the ceiling's fun, ceiling's exciting, but at some point after a 2-year starter, I want to start to talk about what you are tangibly and not keep talking about upside. Like, at what point does that upside actualize itself into proven production and consistent play? I'm waiting on that to happen for Drew Allar. I like some of the tools, but he is a guy that I am very scared of, to be honest. Very scared of him.
So I did have him high at the end of the season in terms of like who I thought, where the rankings I thought I was going to have in summer scouting. Like I had him like 1. It was him and Nuss, I believe, at 1 and 2 is where I had them. But ultimately, I come back to what you said. The fundamentals are a mess. Like his footwork and like I have him at 4 because I'm still betting on the tools because I'm looking at those tools and I'm like, those are NFL tools. Those are UDFA fundamentals. So I'm very aware of that. So like when people like say he's outside of my top 5, or even if you put him closer to 10, I get it.
Yes.
Like, it's like, I get it. I'm a little higher because I'm always going to be the bet on the tools guy because it's
especially in the summer. I mean, especially in the summer, like especially, yeah. I mean, this people always say like, oh, you have that guy there. And it's just like, yeah, guys, because in the summer, there is still a season of progression that's about to happen. So like, yeah, I'm betting on tools a little bit more. Absolutely. And there's some positions, quarterback actually isn't one of them as much, but like there's some other positions like offensive tackle, edge, corner, like that. Like I value athleticism so much as far as like that upside conversation of like betting on tools because it matters so much in the NFL level. So yeah, I'm there with you, especially in this time of year. Like I'm totally fine with betting on tools. I can save the conversation, Jacob, with number 5 because I have Sam Levitt and we talked a ton about him, so he's number 5 for me on my list. Yep.
Okay, I'll get to my number 6 then, and it's Fernando Mendoza. I have him a little bit lower than some other people strictly because I like other guys more. It's all it is, because I know people love Mendoza and I'm super excited to see what Curt Cignetti does with him, because I work at Ohio University. I've worked at Ohio University for a long time. I know who Curtis Rourke was, and I know his skill set. And it was not what Cignetti got out of him last year. Like just to be clear, that coaching staff, offensive top to bottom, got absolutely every last bit of blood out of that stone that was Curtis Rourke, and they had an awesome season. Fernando Mendoza, I think, is significantly more talented than Curtis Rourke, and so I'm very excited. What are they going to do? But like that's the first thing I wrote about him is this is a player I expect to see a big jump because of what they made Curtis Rourke look like. I'm like, this would, he's got an NFL arm. I think the accuracy and ball placement, love it. Love that. Sometimes I know the turnovers aren't super high with him, but I thought sometimes he trusts his arm a little too much. Sure. It's like, I'm going to try to put this ball in here. And it's like, he's got a better arm, but it kind of reminds me of some of the stuff that I hated about Shedeur Sanders, but he's got the arm to get away with it that Shedeur Sanders didn't. So it's like, yeah, I know you see it, but you don't, like Sanders didn't have like enough drive and he's got it. I love his back shoulder throws. Like he puts those back shoulder, not just in the end zone, but when it needs to be a back shoulder throw, like Mendoza, like he hits that shit.
It's artwork. It's artwork. Yeah. No, I mean, that's why I know we don't want to jump around too much, but like, that's why I have him at number 3 on my list is that I am buying into like, I think he's a really smooth processor for the most part. I think he handles pressure pretty well. Like he's not as great of an athlete as a couple of these guys on the list, but like he has enough athleticism functionally to move around in the pocket and extend at times. But he is, I believe, I mean, I'm just looking through my list. Yeah. I mean, he's the most accurate thrower of anybody that I've watched in this class. So like he hits spots and he has general ball placement and he feels things too, right? Like he has relatively good timing to multiple levels of the field. I want to see what how his deep ball takes a jump this year because I do think that his deep ball was very inconsistent last year. But at Cal, I know people will be like, oh, he had the Hunter kid and whatever. I'm just like, guys, like those wide receivers weren't great. Like they just weren't, if we're being honest with ourselves, right? Like their tight end was pretty good. The Andrews kid that transferred down to Texas, but like the wide receivers weren't great. You should, in theory, have some more options this year with like Omar Cooper and Elijah Surratt. Like you have some more like NFL-ish type of wide receivers. So I'm interested to see if he's able to push the ball vertically more. If he is, then I think that he's a substantial quote unquote riser. I think the NFL does like him already, but like he is a guy that he's one of the maybe 3 to 4 guys that I think are legitimately in like the quarterback 1 conversation to be the first guy off the board potentially. So yeah, agree with you on that.
I agree with that, and I had him at 6, and that's just because I'm crazy.
No, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. Like you said, you like a couple other guys more. You're just prioritizing. It's all good. Yep.
So you said you already had your 5 with Sam Levitt.
I had my 5 with Sam Levitt. Yep. And then I just told you 3. So yep.
All right. So I'll go to my 5. It's John Mateer from Oklahoma.
See, I didn't grade Mateer either. So yeah, you go for it on this one. Yeah. Okay.
If you want to talk about a wild man at quarterback, it's John Mateer. Like, and I started off my write-up on him as if you're asking me for a Cam Ward-like prospect, like where Cam Ward was last year in terms of like what you thought about him overall as a quarterback, but had the talent to potentially shoot up the board, that's Mateer. And it's hilarious because he's also coming from Washington State.
I was going to say they were teammates. They were literally teammates at one point. Yeah, it's funny.
Well, they look like it if you like when you watch Mateer. Like the ball absolutely explodes off his hands. Like if you're talking about arm strength, arm talent, he might be up there at close to number 1 just on that aspect of his game.
Sure.
And it's kind of like I had Cam Ward potentially day 3 about this time last year, and that's kind of what Mateer has shown himself to be, is like a day 3 guy. But like, where I'm trying to think. So I texted a buddy of mine when I was first watching Mateer in June. I watched him a couple months ago, and the first thing I said was like, "My God, that arm is live." But holy shit, is he wild and erratic.
Yep. Like, well, I mean, just look, if you want any proof of it, and again, like I haven't graded him, but like I've seen him, obviously. I've seen some of him, and that release is like, if you want to talk about wildness, like just start with the release point, man. Like it's so all over the place. It's like, I mean, he's kind of like a 3/4 thrower, but like he'll go full sidearm, 3/4, like he'll shot put the ball on some points. Like it's a wild journey. Absolutely.
I wrote that he's a gunslinger in the truest definition of the word. Like you think Sam Levitt's a gunslinger? My God. He can get pretty reckless. And one thing that I'm a little disappointed about as he comes to Oklahoma is that he brings his offensive coordinator with him. I kind of wish he was getting some more pro stuff, like kind of, because again, I've talked about this before. I'm sure you've talked about it. Like, college teams are not concerned about developing guys for the NFL. They want to win.
Yep.
And so I kind of was hoping he would get some more development. We'll see what happens. He's an elite athlete. He had 826 yards on the ground and 15 touchdowns. Like, he is wild, but his pocket presence for a guy as good of an athlete, not great. Like, it's not great. The footwork's a bit of a mess, like, at times, but he gets away with it because he has a crazy arm. I thought a lot of these things about Cam Ward, and he didn't super fix everything, but he improved in a lot of those areas. So I want to see what Mateer does at Oklahoma, but like, I did a My Guys episode last week, some of my early draft crushes, and he's there for me because I'm like, the ceiling on John Mateer at Oklahoma is crazy, but the floor is terrifying. Yes. So let's just be clear.
And it's interesting because he's a guy also that's making a huge, not like obviously like the SEC, whatever, but like he started last year in his first year as a starter for Washington State when after the Pac-12 deteriorated the year before. So he's playing on like almost a G5 schedule last year, right? Where it's just like it's not a great schedule that he was playing against. How does that translate making a big jump to the SEC? And also Oklahoma's not a great team. I mean, they've gone 6-7 2 of the last 3 years, so it's not like he's walking into a great situation. They're going to put a lot on his shoulders. Like, he's going to kind of have to be Superman a little bit for Oklahoma to take a massive step, but it is going to be interesting. So I like the mention. It is going to be a wild ride to see how he does down in the SEC. He's very confident.
Potentially going to get a suspension. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see about all that stuff. It's the most bizarre situation. The college and NFL seasons are never off seasons are never boring, man. Like, they're never boring. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, this guy's betting apparently in 2022. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that type of stuff. So I told you I had Levitt at 5. I already said 3 for Mendoza. Number 4, I have Garrett Nussmeier from LSU, who I like him more now than I initially thought I was going to, but I still don't love him is the best way to put it, I guess. I think that he has some of the better touch throws of anybody in this class, working the intermediate to deep levels of the field in terms of hitting windows that are just, you don't really think are there initially, right? So, like, I think that he has some just generally very good arm talents. And I think there's moments where he is really good in the pocket as far as, like, feeling pressure, moving right, stepping up, stepping left, like, whatever. I think there are moments there. The frame scares me, though. He is sub 6'1". He's only about 205 pounds, so he's a smaller quarterback, especially for a guy that is not a great athlete. But my biggest thing about him that drives me crazy is that he sometimes will just spin out against non-pressure. Yeah. And I'm watching and I'm just like, where are you going? Like, why are you going? I don't understand. He just leaves clean pockets for no reason sometimes. I feel like, and this is just me projecting here, but I feel like he thinks he's more athletic than he is sometimes. Like, that's kind of my vibe that I get. Like, I want to throw on the run for some reason here. Like, okay. So his pressure management needs to take a step forward in terms of being a complete package there. And I do think that he needs to be a little bit more careful with the football at times. Like, it's not even he threw like 12 interceptions or something, but like, he gets strip sacked too much, right? Like, he has bad ball handling within the pocket at times, and he fumbles. And he needs to clean up the turnovers overall in his second year now as a starter. There are tools to have there, and I did like him a lot more than I thought I would going into the film watching. But there are still some things where I'm like, I just can't completely buy in with Garrett Nussmeier.
I've got him in 2, which I think everything you said is absolutely fair. One thing that I do really like about him, you can see that he's been around football, that he's the son of a coach. You can tell, like, his ability to read and diagnose. Like, when he's on, he's on. Like he's really on. But like you said, sometimes.
Well, it's like the Ole Miss game, right? It's like the perfect way to describe him. Like, in overtime, or like down the stretch of the game into overtime, he was on for about 7-8 throws where it was just like he could hit any window he wanted to, right? But it's like, but he still went 24-52 in that game, right? He was mostly bad in that football game, but he made stretches where he looked great. So It's just about trying to be a more complete version of yourself. And he is only this similar to my conversation with Drew Aller, where I'm like, he's a 2-year starter. When's going to happen? We do have to remember, even though Garrett Nussmeier is a little bit of an older quarterback, he waited a long time, and he's only a 1-year starter, right? So, like, there is a year 2 starting jump that potentially could happen with him.
That's why I have him at 2. Is I'm like, this is a guy that I thought, like, there were some, like you talked about it, like there was a stretch in a lot of games where he was clutch. You're like, down the stretch early in the season, he had some wins that were where he put the team on his back. And then, like you said, sometimes he completes less than 50% of his passes, even when he's being clutch through part of it. So it's the story of this class, to be completely honest about it. But he just has got to be more consistent, like, all around, because his fundamentals can be good and consistent. His accuracy, sometimes he can't hit, Lake Michigan if he was in a boat. But I love it the way he attacks the intermediate middle parts of the field. Like, I think he sees what's directly in front of him really, really well. I think he's got a good enough arm. There's not like some crazy elite traits about him, but there's not any of these traits where I'm like, oh God, like, that sucks. It's like, he can't be a good quarterback because he doesn't have ball placement. Like, everything's pretty good with him. Yep. It's just, I agree. I think there's going to be a jump. And so for me, it's like, let's see if he can make that jump. Like, he's been around for a while, but he started 12 games, 13 games, whatever it is. Like, he had to sit behind Jake Nick. So.
Yeah, and he's got a good wide receiver group, obviously, with Nick Anderson transferring in, Barian Brown transferring in, Aaron Anderson, Chris Hilton. Like, he's got a lot of help on the skill position, which will be really nice. The one thing that does give me pause, though, is that he is, 4 of 5 new starting offensive linemen, right? So, like, there is an overhaul up front. So, like, that's going to be interesting. But, like, the wide receivers, as long as he's on time and gets the ball out of his hands, he should have a lot of skill position players to work with.
So, okay, so he was 2. We've already talked about Aller. I have him 4. So I'll do my 3.
Okay.
And I'm sure you've probably got this guy at 2 or 1. I don't know. And it's Cade Klubnik from Clemson. Like, I like Cade Klubnik quite a bit. The only downside, just similar to Nussmeier, is his size. A little bit of concerns about his size, but he's got the physical tools. I thought the quarterback that made the most improvement during the season in 2024 was Cade Klubnik. Like, if you go watch him in Georgia in week 1 and you go watch him in the playoffs and the run to the playoffs, they're a completely different quarterback, like completely different quarterback in my mind, which is awesome. I thought that, like, his deep ball accuracy was one of the most significant things he improved over the year. And, like, towards the end of the year, he was throwing some nice bombs that he was not doing at the beginning of the year. I have him down as above average arm talent and strength. Like, I think he can access everything. He's a true dual threat. Has 463 yards on the ground and 7 rushing touchdowns, but he has enough arm strength where he throws really well on the run. I do think he puts the ball in harm's way a little bit too much. The decision making under pressure needs to improve a little bit, but I thought it improved as the year went on. And I think sometimes when defenses change their coverage post snap, it can confuse him a little bit. And so that's just kind of something I want to have him clean up. But if you tell me right now Cade Klubnik in 2026 goes number 1 overall, I see a world where that happens.
Yep. I mean, you guessed it right. He's number 2 on my list. So, I mean, I echo a lot of the same things. He is a surprisingly good athlete. I don't think people are going to give him quite enough credit as an athlete. Like, this kid might be like a legit, like, 4'6" flat, 4'5'9" type of dude. Like, he can move, man. Like, he can really run. He's got plus arm strength. He's got plus arm talent just in general. And you said something that's the biggest thing for me is that game 1 last year against Georgia, it was bad. Like, it just was not very good. And it was kind of a lot of the same stuff as 2023 when he wasn't very good overall, but then the maturation. And when you watch Georgia paralleled with the last game against Texas, for instance, last year, it's like, this is just night and day. Like, this is a completely different universe that we're living in here. So the maturation happened in his second year as a starter. You hope that he can take another year 3 jump. But yeah, I agree. He took a substantial jump, and there's clean tools to be able to continue to develop. Agree.
So are we both at 1 now?
They were both at 1. Yeah, both at 1.
Is it Lenore Sellers?
That's Lenore Sellers, absolutely. Yeah, Lenore.
If you want to talk about tools,
yes.
God, this like I think that's even. Let me scroll down on my notes to see if that's what I even wrote. But like I said in terms of raw talent and tools, he's the most physically talented prospect in this class. If he's able to reach his full potential, and I'm not even sure it's close from that standpoint. Like, goodness.
So I put a weird comp on him early because I think that some people have the misconception of him as a player. Mm-hmm. If you go look at just the RAS and the testing numbers of Dante Culpepper when he came out of Central Florida, it would shock you. He was like 255 pounds, had like a 4.5 240, had like a 39-inch vert. You're like, oh, that guy was a freak before he started getting fat in the NFL. Like, he was a freak, right?
Yep.
LaNorris Sellers is a freak show of a talent. I mean, he's 6'3", 242 listed. The kid can move. I mean, he could play tight end if he wanted to. He could play another position if he wanted to. He could play defensive end probably if he wanted to. Like, he is a freaky athlete. But that kid has a huge arm to work with to push vertically and to be able to push outside the numbers. And the biggest thing about him, Jacob, and you mentioned with a couple other guys, you want to see incremental improvement throughout the year. And that's what I saw with LaNorris Sellers. Like, I remember watching the first couple games, and I remember the LSU game was one where I'm just like, this guy looks like an athlete playing quarterback. Like, he doesn't look like a quarterback. By the end of the year, you're like, okay, his eyes are getting better, right? Like, he's starting to go through his process a little bit cleaner, a little bit faster. You're seeing that the wheels start to really turn in his head, it looks like, right? Just from his eyes on film. And I think that, like, generally speaking, he's a pretty accurate quarterback. I think that most people are just going to kind of knock him and say that he's not an accurate quarterback because of some stigmas. But I think that is a very incorrect assumption to make just based upon his athleticism and kind of the dual threat aspects he has. I think he has general accuracy. I think he's got a big arm. I think he needs to trust his eyes a little bit more because there were a couple times where I'm like, I think he sees it, but he just isn't going to it, right? Like, why are you not pulling the trigger on that? So I think that year two maturation is naturally there. But, like, again, in the summer, I'm betting on the 6'3", 242-pound kid that's probably a 4.5 something athlete that has a huge arm and showed monumental growth throughout the year. So yes, I'm a big LaNorris Sellers fan.
I just wrote down, you don't often see people with the combination of size, strength, athleticism, and arm talent all in one. Like, it's dumb.
It's unnatural. Yeah. He's uncommon, unnatural, like any other fill the blank there, right? Like, he's a very unique player, which is why I think that he's going to go early. Like, because we've seen this, right? Like, there have been rawer quarterbacks at the position that are freak shows, like Anthony Richardson, for instance, right? Where you're like, if that kid can go top 5, why is LaNorris Sellers not in the first pick overall conversation this year? Mm-hmm. Like, it's going to happen. And I think that he's further along now than even when Anthony Richardson was coming out of Florida his final year, right? So you're like, okay, if he takes just a good jump, I'm not even talking about like a substantial jump where he's like, he goes from whatever he did last year to throwing for like 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. If he's just better, I think he's an easy top 10 pick in this class.
The thing I wrote towards the end of my write-up for him about that I want to see that would really put him top 5, like for sure, I think the game just needs to slow down for him a little bit. I think everything around him, like he's still kind of adjusting to the game speed and things like that. And just, we've said this about a bunch of these guys. He's just inexperienced to me. Like, it's like, go play some more quarterback. That's how I feel about Nussmeier. Like, it's like, just go, it's about Eli Holstein. It's like, hey, go out there and just play more quarterback. Do what you're doing. Focus on some of these things. Like, I think sometimes he struggles diagnosing post-snap coverage. Well, let's go play in the SEC another year.
Exactly.
Because you're going to see a lot of that. Like, and I think he's in a good position, like, team-wise. Like, I don't think he's in a spot where he's going to have to overcome a lot of bad things around him. I'm not calling South Carolina like a powerhouse, but like he's not.
They're a rising SEC team though. Like, they have a lot of talent around him, and he just turned 20 years old 2 months ago, right? So like, you were watching him at 19 years old in the SEC. So yes, gives you a lot of hope for the future for sure.
Well, you say that about Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith, right? We said that same thing. It's like they're 17, 18 years old doing this thing. It's like, well, LaNorris Sellers was doing it at 19. It's like,
exactly. Yeah.
If he comes out this year and you draft him, he is not going to be 21, until a couple of months after you draft him. Like,
exactly. Yeah. He's a young cat. He's got all the physical intangibles, and I think he has the mental side developing too, right? Like, that's the biggest thing is that, like, you can watch some quarterbacks sometimes where you're like, they have all the physical tools, but you just don't see it turn right in their mind. Mm-hmm. You're like, I don't think he sees the game very well. This kid, I think he sees the game. I just think, again, he was a first-year starting quarterback in the SEC. Like, that's a jump that people have to go through ultimately, right? Like, that's the closest competition you're going to get on a week-to-week perspective than the NFL. So, yeah, I think the wheels are turning. I think the athleticism is there. And as a younger guy, I am willing to bet on those traits all day, without question.
Ryan, I appreciate you so much, man, for taking some time. I know you're very busy. Please, before we get out of here, tell everybody where they can find all your stuff.
Yeah, no, at Rise and Draft on Twitter. If you liked any of the takes today, even if you don't have to like them all, but if you like some of them, go check it out at Rise and Draft. A to Z Sports, NFL Draft. Obviously, we'll be covering summer scouting, but obviously into the season and afterwards, we're getting a lot hot and heavier in there. College football, NFL as well. If you guys like any of your favorite college football teams, NFL teams covered, we'll have you covered on just kind of the things that you need to know there at A to Z Sports.
All right, guys, this is the final summer scouting episode. I will not be making a draft video next week, and then the draft show is going to be moving to Saturdays as a pregame show for college football on week 1. So check that out here. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that like button, and I will see you guys